when you need to know. KCBS AM, KFRC FM, and HD1. San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, a radio.com station.
KCBS News Time at 9:20. As we've been reporting this week on KCBS, people in some of the richest zip codes in the Bay Area still suffer from homelessness, and the need for food has increased 500% since the pandemic started. To talk more about this, we're joined on the KCBS Ring Central Newsline by Josh Zello, Executive Director at West Valley Community Services. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Jennifer. How are you?
Doing well. Josh, touch on how big of a problem it is for us. I mean, I think a lot of times in the Bay Area, people think of, this wealth, especially specific areas throughout the Bay Area. But especially since the pandemic, people have been hit hard.
Well, we've been seeing a steady uptick over the last 5 years. When I first started here at West Valley Community Services just 5 years ago, there was a lot of surprise when I said that there was a social service agency in the heart of some of the most affluent zip codes in the valley. The steady impact of the housing crisis has made that worse, and I think has made the community more aware. But what COVID-19 has done is it's been pushing people who are already at the edge, folks who are working, but among the working poor, very little or no savings, and then they're suddenly out of a job and unable to pay rent, and now have no hope, no food, and are facing the threat of imminent eviction. And so are coming to us, many people for the first time, with heartbreaking stories. And we're just grateful that we get to be here in this community to help them.
Josh, what are you hearing from clients, especially in light of the federal unemployment benefits, at least for now, expiring, being cut, if you will? We're waiting to see what happens today, and right. Hopefully, by Monday we shall see. But what are you hearing from clients as people talk about eviction moratoriums being lifted and that sort of thing?
So we're hearing a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and this is something that's been on a steady rise over the last 3 years, but really even more so now. We have stories of folks who are working in restaurants who were employed up till mid-March when they were given their last check, hairdressers, drivers, people in the hotel industry coming to us in tears. And often it's also embarrassment. These are folks who have been able in the past to survive on their own without the assistance of an agency like ours, and for the first time, they're at risk of becoming homeless. We're also hearing, even though there is a moratorium, that there are already landlords queuing up those evictions to hit, and the Law Foundation is projecting that there could be up to 43,000 families evicted in Santa Clara County as a result of COVID-19, and we're absolutely seeing the impact of that here in the West Valley.
Wow. Josh, oftentimes, I think people hear this, they hear us talking and think that they'd like to help, and there are some ways that are better than others to do that. What do you think? What should people be doing if they want to help?
So I always recommend that folks look for the organization that's working in their local communities. It's very meaningful for the community to rise and stand together to support the local social service agency that's doing this work. For us in the West Valley, we've been encouraging folks to help support food and rental relief for clients. We also kicked off about a year ago a campaign to expand the footprint of our food pantry and build a new custom mobile food pantry to drive throughout the West Valley. And that was before COVID started. And now the need for these resources are even more. And as of today, we're just about $250,000 away from our fundraising goal for this campaign. And we're hoping that the community is inspired to action to help us make these resources possible for the growing number of people who need help.
So I think a lot of people automatically think donating something, possibly volunteering their time, but I would imagine that monetary donations would be greatly desired, and the fact that what you can translate that money into when we're talking about meals, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we always love volunteers to engage with us. It's a bit more complicated in light of COVID-19 to maintain that physical distancing for our clients, our staff, and our volunteers. And I'll also be honest, the interest in volunteering has waned. We're an organization that depends heavily on volunteers to get the work done. And what we've seen is that people still want to help. They still want to be involved. And if they have the capacity at any level, $1 or $500, whatever people can give makes a meaningful impact in the lives of people who are struggling struggling in the face of poverty and now the impact of COVID-19.
Desperately needed right now, that's for sure. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Have a good day.
You as well. And that was Josh Sello. He's the Executive Director for West Valley Community Services.